Okay, Rohit. Rohit. Rohit இல்லையா? நான் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணலான்றதுக்காக பெருசா வச்சேன். நம்ம இந்த இதை வந்து ஓபிஎஸ்ல ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணலாமா அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஐடியா. தெரிஞ்சிருச்சுன்னா எதையோ உழப்பிட்டு இருக்க வேண்டியது தானே. ரோஹித் வந்தாச்சு. Heram, you have to do me a favor. I'm recording this, so I'll not minimize this. So somebody have to follow the chat and you have to inform me. ஐயோ நீ தான் உனக்கு வாய்ஸ் இல்லையே. ரோஹித்
Sir.
இப்போ I'm trying to record my screen OBS software.
Okay, sir.
அதனால வந்து I cannot able to minimize பண்ணா அதெல்லாமே தெரியும்.
Okay, sir.
நீங்க எனக்கு chat ஃபாலோ பண்ணி நான் என்ன क्वेश्चन கேக்குறேன், யார் என்ன சொல்றாங்கன்றது யாராவது ஒருத்தவங்க எனக்கு கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ண பரவாயில்ல. இப்போ லைக் சார் ஹேராம் ஆன்சர்ட் லைக் திஸ் இன் தி chat அப்படின்ற மாதிரி சொல்லுங்க.
சார் நம்ம மைக் ஆன் பண்ணி சொல்லணுமா சார்?
ஆமா ஆமா. chat என்ன இருக்குதோ அதை எனக்கு ஃபாலோ பண்ணி சொல்லுங்க. சும்மா இது ஒரு கைண்ட் ஆஃப் assignment so that இது ஒரு ஆக்டிவிட்டி மாதிரி ஆர்கனைசிங் ஸ்கில் இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆகும்.
Okay, sir.
That is also the purpose behind
Okay,
it.
sir.
If others will join or not?
Don't know, sir.
Don't know. Okay. என்னப்பா?
attend பண்ணிங்க சார்.
Call attend பண்ணல. சரி, we'll leave it. Shall we start off then?
Yes, sir.
Rohit, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning. This is Ilangovan. This semester I am going to handle electromagnetic theory for you. This is a subject code. EE8391 is a subject code of your subject, electromagnetic theory. And these are the flow. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4 and Unit 5. And we are going to justify why it has been named as electrostatics, what is the importance of electrostatics, magnetostatics, electrodynamic fields, why it is used, and why we need to study this subject, all those things in the coming slides. So this is the syllabus for Unit 1. So what is the title of Unit 1? Intentionally I didn't mention the title of the Unit 1.
Electrostatics 1.
Electrostatics 1. So we are having 2 units on electrostatics. So these are the topics which is given in the syllabus. As far as my first lecture, that is this lecture is concerned, we will finish off these 2 topics. That is my plan. I don't know whether we can able to complete or not. Anyway, let me try it. Okay. So the topics are sources and effects of electromagnetic fields, means where from sources are there, and what are the effects of electromagnetic fields, coordinate systems. There are 3 coordinate systems as I have already explained in the introductory class. Coordinate systems. What are the 3 coordinate systems? Can anyone answer me? Do you remember? What are the 3 coordinate systems? At least say me, I don't remember.
Sir, XY, Z, XY.
I'm sorry?
XY, Z, other one, sir.
X, Y, Z is 1. Okay.
XY is 1,
X.
Y.
Okay.
Next I can't remember, sir.
Okay, fine. You forgot it totally, it seems. Okay, there are three coordinate systems. Cartesian coordinate system, cylindrical. Polar is nothing but cylindrical. Polar is in two-dimensional. In three-dimensional, it is cylindrical, right? And spherical coordinate system. So this is what we are going to see today. The remaining portions are vector fields. That is, this you might be knowing already: gradient, divergence, curl, and only difference is whatever you know is only two-dimensional. Here we are going to see the three-dimensional part of it. And with all the three coordinate systems, the gradient, divergence, and curl will have a different formulae. Theorems and applications: Coulomb's law, electrical field intensity E, field due to discrete and continuous charges. What is meant by different charges, discrete charges, and continuous charges? What are they mean? And how field will be there at any point due to these charges? And Gauss law. I hope this Coulomb's law, Gauss law, everything you have studied. Just we are reiterating that with the electrical field intensity, right? So this is what it is in the unit number 1. So this is what is my plan. Introduction to the subject, vector arithmetic. Just we are reviewing it, since you know the vector arithmetic, kind of addition, subtraction, multiplication, dot product, cross product, all those things. Coordinate systems and their transformation. How to transform, that is, if x, y, z is known, what is the value of r, phi, and z? What is the value of r, theta, and phi? Like that. So that is the transformation. And few examples. Moving to the next slide. Prerequisites. What all should be known to you to take up this course? Prerequisites are vector calculus. You should know vector calculus. You would have studied about IJK part. What is that IJK? What is the name of that? Can anyone say? You would have studied vector algebra, and during the calculations you would have used some IJK. Hello? Are you with me?
Sir, vector variables.
Vector?
Variables.
Vector variables. Okay. Let me say, those are unit vectors in the required direction. I vector is a unit vector. Unit vector means a vector with one magnitude, one s magnitude.
Yes, sir.
So it shows the direction. Unit vector is nothing but it will show the direction to you. So in x-axis, I is a unit vector. In y-axis, j is a unit vector. And in z-axis, k is a unit vector. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is nothing but unit vector will give you the direction of any vector. Simple. And whose magnitude is going to be 1. So it is named as unit vector. Okay. Prerequisites: vector calculus, general calculus, complex variables. You should know about the complex variables, complex numbers. Right. Course focus is on foundations of electromagnetic field theory. Yes. Objectives are: on completion of this course, students should understand the operating principles of resistor, capacitor, and inductor. You really wonder, what? I don't know the operating principle of resistor, capacitor, and inductor? Yes, there is some insight into it. You can know better than what you know earlier. So, electromagnetic theory is amazing subject. It is a lovable subject. You have to love it actually. If you started loving it, then it will give you a lot of gifts. Okay. Um, so the student should understand and compute electromagnetic fields and apply them for design and analysis of electrical equipments and system. Whatever system is available, either it is mechanical machine, either it is electrostatic machine. When you go for any communication, anything which involves electricity, you need to know electromagnetic fields. Then only you can understand it completely. Yeah. The next objective is gain thorough understanding of time varying fields, Maxwell's equation, time harmonic fields, and plane electromagnetic waves. So we'll come to this later, right? Moving to the next slide. This is the textbook I wanted to prescribe. During my introductory session, I gave you 3 books. So in the next class, for tomorrow's class, you have to go through all the 3 books and tell me which can be given as a recommended book for you, right? And this is my course website, which is available in Moodle, which is normally through that only you have joined. So you can use it for further studies. That is, the notes for all these concepts are already available in the Moodle in the same location. Okay. Why to study electromagnetics? This course is about electromagnetics, the electrical foundation of electrical and electronics engineering, or how electricity really works. What is meant by electricity? You can really get to know after this electromagnetics, after reading this electromagnetics. There are a lot of block boxes are there. That is how current is there, how current is flowing from one part to the other part, what is this voltage difference, what is the difference between EMF, voltage, and potential. For the same concept, we are using 3 different terminologies. Whether all the 3 are same? No. There are different meaning for each and everything. Potential is different, voltage is different, and EMF is different. EMF is nothing but electromotive force. All the 3 are different concepts. Yeah. So there are a lot of black boxes available. So for that we can easily able to get a solution if we love the subject, understand the concept, and process it, synthesize it in your brain, and store it. Then you will never forget electromagnetic theory. And this is the one subject I love a lot. I love a lot. This is the top priority to me. Sorry, I have gone to an enthusiastic level. Okay. Linear circuits is a simple part of electromagnetics, so it was taught first. What is that? What is that linear circuits? What you have already read? Which subject we are mentioning here? Linear circuits is a simple part of electromagnetics, so it was taught first. What does this it refers? Okay, this is nothing but CT, circuit theory. So now we will come to know what is the difference between circuit theory and electromagnetic theory, and why we have studied circuit theory earlier than electromagnetic theory. Even in the introductory class, I told you we should have got electromagnetic theory, then only circuit theory. So why we are doing it, right? However, there are an increasing number of cases where circuit theory fails in computers. Circuit theory will not work. Higher communication frequencies. In the case of communication transmission lines, power electronics, power system transients, we always say in all the theorems of circuit theory that for a linear bilateral network or in a linear bilateral network, that is how the theorem gets started. The statement of theorems gets started. So if it is a non-linear, almost all the devices, the equipments which are available practically in nature are non-linear. Lot of non-linearities are available in the nature. So only for linear cases, circuit theory will able to work out. So that is why we have, since it is a simplified case of that, just introducing circuit theory to you will be useful. That is what the basic idea behind it. And therefore, what happened? You may be wondering, what, everywhere non-linearity is there? Then what to do? Don't worry, EM is there. Electromagnetics must supplement circuit theory. So it will supplement, and lot of things are. But everywhere, whatever non-linearity, anything is there, electromagnetics is the solution for that. If we understand the basic electromagnetics, which is around us, then even I can say that the whole world is in the universe. It is standing at a particular location, and it is revolving around the sun in the solar system. The whole solar system, Milky Way galaxy, everything is held as such in this position only due to magnetic field. I know that you know all these things. So magnetics, electricity are already available. Electricity is a new invention of a human being? No, it is an invention of God or whomever may be, whether if you are an atheist. The thing is, we have electricity in our nervous system. Each and every nerves will have the tentacles will connect to the other nerve. A small microvolt is available there. So electricity, whichever is available in nature, we are capping it and we are introducing it into some other system. That is all. So invention is not done by humans. That is what I will always say. If you understand the nature very clearly, you are the biggest scientist in the world. You are the biggest poet in the world. You are the biggest creator in the world. As far as creator, it is a generalized statement. You can be a creator, then you are a scientist, you are a poet, you can create kind of stories or films, anything, so on and so forth. So you should be a creator. Engineer should be a creator. An innovative creator. You have to think innovation. The lot of innovativeness has to come slowly. You have to try to apply whatever you have studied in new thing, what you are studying. Whether if there is the concepts are not correlated, then you have to think of why this particular concept is not applicable here. Why it is not applicable here? What is the factor which blocks it? So all those things. Once you started thinking, I'll always say that 6 W's you have to ask. If you are going to be a good engineer, you have to ask when, what, where, why, how. So all these questions, 6 questions, basic questions, you have to ask. Then only you can become a better engineer, better manager, or a better human being at large. Okay. Also, electromagnetics is the basis of many devices. Electrical machines, power system components. Power system components means transmission, distribution, utilization, protection, anything. So that's why I named it as generally power system components. Your power electronics, I listed it here in the previous point I have made it. Protection equipment, antennas, your communication devices, all communication devices. Without electromagnetics, communication is not at all possible. So, and of the physical foundations of any electromechanical equipments. Right. Yes, there is a poem. I came across a poem in a particular site. I really love it, so I wanted to. I just made it for hours. I just did small changes here. My dear W8391 students means the course code I am mentioning. EE8391. So, to my dear EE8391 student, whether by design or accident, you might be wondering why you should study EM. Okay, let me tell you about it by means of poem. EM. First, you should know that the beauty of EM lies in the nature of its compact formalism. Through a set of 4 wonderful EM mantras, means they are talking about Maxwell's equation, familiarly known as Maxwell's equation. Maxwell's equation, that is what in the introductory class I have told. Maxwell's equations are base for all which is surrounding us. Whatever sophistication we have now, we are enjoying now, it is due to that one man, James Clerk Maxwell. So we have to salute him, we have to really remember him for ever in our life. Yeah. They might be like mere 4 lines of mathematics to you, but in them lie a wealth of phenomena that surround you. Based on them are numerous devices that provide you everyday services. Without the principles of Maxwell's equations, surely we would all have been in the dark ages, because there would be no such thing as electrical power, nor would there be electronic communications or computer, which are typical of the important applications of EEE. And so you see, EM is fundamental to the study of EEE. Whether by design or accident, my dear EE839 student, you love this?
Yes, sir.
So I really loved it. This I did yesterday night, probably by 12:30. I have got this and I have included this here. Impact of electromagnetics on various areas. So what this man is just bluffing, everywhere electromagnetics is there. Yes, these are all the various areas. Biomedical engineering, biotechnology, physics-based signal processing and imaging, each and everything is a big ocean. Computer chip design and circuits, laser and optoelectronics, MEMS. MEMS is one of the thing which is very recent, and lot of new research is going on. Micro electromechanical system. MEMS is nothing but micro electromechanical systems. Microwave engineering, this is nowadays getting lot of insights. Remote sensing and subsurface sensing and NDE. Remote sensing is done by civil engineers, architects. So, and leveling of things, power plant engineers, everybody is using this remote sensing. EMC, EMI analysis, electromagnetic interference, electromagnetic compatibility analysis. This is a major thing nowadays. In future, it is going to be, if you're going to start an industry, then the EMC, EMI analysis have to be done, and the certificate they have to get it. Antenna analysis and design, RCS analysis, design, ATR and steel technology. So it is all into communication, wireless communication and propagation. Your fiber optical communication, again it is light. Signals, how we are embedding into the light. Packets of light, it will carry the information. It is like this. Why study electromagnetics? Electrical engineering is applied electromagnetics. When you apply the concepts of electromagnetics, then each and every topic of electrical engineering is coming in. As devices get, this is very important, even in the last introductory class I told this. As devices get smaller and smaller and frequencies get higher and higher, circuit theory is less able to adequately describe the performance or to predict the operation of circuits. So circuit theory is incapable of explaining the higher frequency circuits. So we are going for electromagnetics. Or we can say that this is the introductory part of electromagnetics, which is given in circuit theory. At very high frequencies, transmission line and guided wave theory must be used in applications such as high-speed electronics, micro or nano electronics, integrated circuits. So when you go for electronics, then most of them are high-frequency circuits, especially communication, which will have high frequency. If the frequency is high, then it can travel longer distance. So in order to communication, we need to reach the signal at a longer distance. So we are supposed to go for higher frequencies. Next, other applications include fiber optics, microwave communication systems, antennas, wave propagation, optical computing, electromagnetic interference, electromagnetic compatibility, biology, medical, biomedical imaging. It continues. So, electromagnetic frequency spectrum as a use of, that is in the other slide I have given you the spectrum. So the early humans have seen only the visible light, the spectrum, a very small range of that electromagnetic frequency spectrum was used by the early humans. Nowadays we are crisscross, we are using. We have started using RF, radio frequency. This side it is ultraviolet and microwaves, nanowaves. Nowadays we are going to nanowaves even. So the demand of engineers who have practical working knowledge in the area of electromagnetics continues to grow. This is what I'll say. Electrical engineering is a base for everything. Whatever sophistication we have, so we will not have the unemployment problem. Unless otherwise, we understand this. We should have a working knowledge in the area of whatever we study. So as far as the world is going to be there, engineers, particularly electrical engineers, particularly people knows electromagnetics in a better way. If you understand electromagnetics in depth, then all the other subjects are just you can walk through. It is a cakewalk to you. So electromagnetic engineers design, these are the various things they design: high frequency optoelectronic circuits, antennas, waveguides, electrical circuits that function properly in the presence of external interference while not interfacing with other equipment. So instead of mere connection, that is physical connection, you can communicate all these things. Everything can be done. Electromagnetics technical speciality prepares future engineers for employment in industries in the area of power electronics, smart grid production, switchgear, microgrid implementation, modern biomedical diagnostic equipment manufacturing, everything. Electromagnetics is everywhere. One such statement. This is rightly we can say electromagnetics is everywhere. It is a fundamental of advancement of electrical, electronics, communication, engineering and technology, even computing technologies nowadays. What is electromagnetics? Yeah, slowly I am introducing electromagnetics now. Sorry, I have taken a lot of your time. So electromagnetics is the study of charges. So simple. You know charges, positive charge and a negative charge. Inside your any atom we have a neutrally balanced, both the number of electrons and number of protons are equal. If you remove one electron, then that atom will become a positive ion, and this electron which is removed out of the atom will become a negatively charged particle. So we can take both of them, positive charge and negative charge. So this we are calling it as charges. If those charges are in rest, how it will behave? If the charges are in motion, how it will behave? So this is what we are going to study in electromagnetics. So charges at rest and charges in motion. This is the basic of electromagnetics. Now this is the basic classification, or the topics can be subdivided into these 4 things: electrostatics, magnetostatics, electrodynamics, electromagnetic waves. Even you can go and refer to any university. This is the structure. This structure for electromagnetics cannot be changed. This is the structure almost all the universities across the globe. You can go to University of Michigan, University of Harvard University, anywhere you go. And Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is top number one for providing engineering education across the globe in 2020. I hope several years, even during my studies, my college days, people may say that Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is located at Boston, USA. Yeah, electrostatics is nothing but charges are at rest. If charges are at rest and there is no time variation, then we call it as electrostatics. Electrostatics. Then magnetostatics is nothing but charges are in steady motion. So there is no variation in the magnitude of the velocity. Then we can call it as magnetostatics. If the charges are moving steadily, then they are producing a magnetic field. A magnetic field will get developed. That is what right hand corkscrew rule says. That is the basic things. So electrostatics we are studying in unit 1 and 2 as part 1 and part 2. Electrostatics 1 and electrostatics 2. Magnetostatics we are studying in unit number 3. Electrodynamics, charges are in time varying motion. So the charges are moving with respect to time. The velocity varies. And how we are going to what is the status of charge at which time, at which distance. If you are studying all these things, then that is called electrodynamics. This is what is the application of all the electrical machines, your communication concepts, everything is into electrodynamics. So important. These two are the basic for all the devices nowadays. For these two are the basics or fundamental concepts. Steps in studying electromagnetics. How to study? So first we should know what is E, what is H. What is E, what is H? You would have already studied your BH curve, right? So likewise we have some electrical field also. So you will be studying all these things in your electrical machines also, right? So define the rules of operation. So we should know the basic mathematics behind it of these quantities. So we need to know the basics of vector algebra and partial differential equations. PDEs are nothing but partial differential equations. And we have to postulate, we have to completely know the basic fundamental laws of certain things. Again, the poem continues. So, you are curious about learning EM? Let us proceed further with the poem. First, you should know that E means electrical field, and furthermore, that B stands for magnetic field. Now, the static E and B fields may be independent. Static E and B, E is electrical field and B is a magnetic field, may be independent. That is, they don't depend on others. But the dynamic E and B fields are interdependent. So E depends on B and B depends on E. Electricity depends on magnetism, magnetism depends on the electricity. So that is the beauty out of it. Causing them to be simultaneous and to coexist in any given space. Coexist means both of them exist simultaneously, which makes EM very illuminating and modern day life most interesting. For it is the interdependence of E and B fields that is responsible for electromagnetic waves. In earlier courses, you might have learned circuit theory. It is all an approximation of an electromagnetic field theory. Circuit theory is an approximation of electromagnetic field theory. How wonderfully he placed it. So you see that they put the cart before the horse. They put the cart before the horse. That is, horse is actually should be put before the cart. The cart is circuit theory. Horse is electromagnetic field theory. That is, electromagnetic field theory leads to circuit theory. But in the syllabus, they put the cart before the horse but it is okay to do that and still make sense. Because at low frequency, circuit approximations are fine, but at high frequencies, electromagnetic effects are prime. So, whether you are an electrical engineer, I'm sorry, it is not engineering, engineer, or happen to be a computer engineer, whether you are interested in high frequency electronics or maybe high speed computer communication networks, you see electromagnetic effects are prime. Studying the fundamentals of EM is sublime. So it is mandatory. You cannot read electrical engineering or any engineering without electromagnetics. Is electromagnetics difficult? Everybody is saying electromagnetics is difficult. EMT, passing EMT is really a tough subject. Why it is so? So what is why people are thinking like that? Are three-dimensional. That is one problem. People can easily able to compute in two-dimensional. When the third dimension is included, people may think that it is tough. Or vectors. We have to have the vectors. You should have knowledge of vectors. Vary in space and as well as in time. So a lot of complexities is coming in. Are governed by partial differential equations. It is not differential equation, partial differential equations. Since the vectors, the fields E and B are interdependent, then automatically we have to go for partial differential equations. One particular variable is not depending on only one variable, it depends on other variables. The certain functions are depending on other variables. So we are supposed to have a partial differential equation, not the ordinary differential equation. This is the application of mathematics. Without mathematics, no engineering is there. Solution of electromagnetic problems requires a high level of abstract thinking. Students must develop a deep physical understanding. This is what I am saying. If we could be able to understand physically the significance, we should not just mug it up and go away. If you understand it, the physical meaning of everything, then it is very, very easy. This is not correct. I'll name it as easy. Yes, it is very easy. But you have to love the subject, you have to live with the subject. Again, you may say that still you have a problem with EM, with EM, full of abstract mathematics. My dear student who is afraid of electromagnetics, because it appears to be full of abstract mathematics, I want you to know that it is the power of mathematics that enabled Maxwell's prediction through his equations of the physical phenomenon of electromagnetic radiation, even before its finding by Hertz through experimentation. Before Hertz, this mathematical equations by Maxwell have been come. So that is what it means. In fact, it was this accomplishment that partly resulted in the entitlement for the equations to be known after the Maxwell, whereas in reality they are not his laws after all. He just found it. He just modeled it. It is not his own laws. That is what it means. For example, the first one among the four of them is Faraday's law expressed in mathematical form. You see, mathematics is a compact means for representing the underlying physics. Therefore, do not despair when you see mathematical derivations throughout this text on elements of engineering electromagnetics. Instead, look through the derivations to understand the concepts, realizing that mathematics is only a means to extend the physics. Mathematics is only a means to extend the physics. Think of you as riding the horse of mathematics to conquer the new frontier of electromagnetics. You ride the horse of mathematics to conquer electromagnetics. How beautifully he placed. Wonderful. Let you and me together go on the ride as I take you through the steps in the stride. Yeah. So if this is going to be your electromagnetics, these are the inputs and these are the outputs. So I leave it to you. You can read on your own. Applications of electromagnetics in communication technology, electromagnetic fields are there in between the receiving device and the transmission device. Computer technology, yes, it is there. Antenna technology, yes, it is there. Military and defense application, biomedical applications, ECG, EEG, all those things are big things. X-rays, everything, tumor, fat and fibroglandular tissues, everything. It can be diagnosed by electromagnetics. People who understood the electromagnetics better way, they have manufactured all these devices. Levitated trains, maglev. This is what GPS location, GPR, automotive radar. This is available in the electrical vehicles nowadays. Lot of intelligent car dashboards are getting done. So if you could able to go to Tesla website or even Robert Bosch website from our side, you can see lot of videos like this. So this is all electromagnetics. This is electromagnetic wave. This wave is common for any energy. Any energy, the fastest energy is electromagnetic energy. Light energy is also the same. Let me say why light is a part of electromagnetic. That is what I am going to say in the next slide. Electromagnetic waves are transverse waves made up of electric and magnetic fields. All electromagnetic waves travel at same speed. This is what I have told. All electromagnetic waves travel at the same speed. Light, your electromagnetics, current will go in the speed of light. In a vacuum, that is space, they travel at so much of meters per second. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the earlier class I told it as 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. This is the direction of magnetic field and this is the direction of electrical field and this is the direction of movement of the wave. That is why now you can know that why we are going for three-dimensional analysis. So electromagnetic waves, we need to know three-dimensional analysis and the fourth dimension is time, I'll say. People may say that there is no fourth dimension. So abstractly I can say that. So these three variations, this is the distance of movement of the particle. So the distance of movement of the particle is along this, the direction of wave. So it moves like this. So this magnetic field is moving like this, electrical field is moving like this. So automatically we will get a wave like this. Right? That is what our electromagnetic waves. And there is a third variable, that is your time. It depends on time also. How do electromagnetic waves differ? Different electromagnetic waves carry different amount of energy. Yeah, 1050. For example, microwaves carry less energy than X-rays. Let me say, just to you go through, in the next slide I'll explain you. For example, microwaves carry less energy than X-rays. The amount of energy carried by electromagnetic wave depends on the wavelength. The shorter the wavelength, higher is its energy. The amount of energy. That is why the electricity is in only 50 hertz. It has to carry a lot of energy. So we cannot. There was a question long back, probably 2003 passed out batch guy. I really, if I am remembering correct, one Mr. Murugan, he asked this question. Highly sensible question. That was. Each and every year I am remembering him. Sir, why can't we transfer the electricity in a higher energy, higher frequency? We will try to the total. You always say that the size of the machine will get reduced if we go for higher frequency. Yes, it is true, but If shorter the wavelength, then higher is the frequency. If the wavelength reduces, the frequency increases. Then if we increase the wavelength, then the amount of energy carried by the signal will get reduced. So the shorter the wavelength, higher is its energy. Right? Wavelength and frequency are linked properties of a wave. The shorter the wavelength, the higher is its frequency. So frequency also tells you about the energy of a wave. The higher is its frequency, the higher is its energy. Do microwaves have a shorter wavelength than X-rays? We'll come to know. What happens when wave hits a surface? Electromagnetic waves, when it hit a surface, what will happen to that? Electromagnetic waves, there are three options. One, it can be reflected, otherwise it is absorbed or transmitted. It will completely absorb or it will just pass through. It will allow the electromagnetic waves to pass through. How the waves behave depend on their energy and the type of material. It depends on the material and the energy which is carried by the signal, that is wave. Light waves are reflected by skin, but X-rays pass straight away through. If electromagnetic waves are absorbed, some of their energy is absorbed by the material. This usually increases the temperature of the material. This is coming to the effect of electromagnetic wave. I have the first topic is sources and effects of electromagnetic waves. I am doing that now. This is the spectrum. So early humans were using only this part, visible light, this part of the whole spectrum. Now initially we started using infrared, after that ultraviolet rays, then somebody who is at Roentgen, if I remember correct, Roentgen, he started using X-rays. Then people started using microwaves. Radio waves were used in communication. Gamma rays we are using. And it is going on. So this side also we are still getting extended the spectrum. Smaller the wavelength, higher the frequency, so a lot of energy that can be carried. Equally, hazard is also there. If you are going on increasing the frequency a lot, then hazard is also there. It will carry a lot of energy. This is the advantage and this is the disadvantage of that. So we have to have a compromise over everything. So based on the hazards, we have to do it. That is what is told it was told in Endiran 2.0. It was told. So if people still going on increasing the expansion of thing with higher frequency spectrum, then a lot of hazards also we have to undergo. Electromagnetic waves form a continuous series in order of changing wavelength, frequency and energy. This series is called the electromagnetic spectrum. How do radio waves affect humans? Radio waves are the longest wavelength of electromagnetic waves. Let me show you that. Sorry. Radio waves are the longest wavelength. So nothing, it will not have any effect. Mostly pass through the body. Longest wavelength of electromagnetic waves and mostly pass through the body. They are not strongly absorbed, so it will pass through the body, but body will not absorb it, and are thought have no effect on the health of living tissue. Microwaves are radio waves with shorter wavelengths. They are very slightly absorbed by the body and can cause a minor heating effect. This is the next range of which is available in the spectrum. However, the microwaves produced by mobile phones have not yet been proved to cause health problems. So nothing was proved actually, but problems are there. That is what people believe. Infrared waves, the other side of the visible light. Infrared waves are absorbed by skin to a limited depth. They transfer their energy to the skin tissue, warming it up. So a small warmth will be available. This heating effect is detected by temperature sensitive nerve endings in the skin. Right? Infrared, there is a simulation given here, analogy. Infrared waves from this grill heat the surface of the meat. If the meat absorbs too much of energy, it will be burnt. The same thing will happen here also. If skin is exposed to too many high energy infrared waves, it will be burned. How do visible light affect humans? Your eyes detect visible light, which does not normally pose any health risk. But very bright light can damage your eyes. That is what you should not see the LED. So it is very bright. So you will have a problem of eyesight. So damage your eyes and may even make you blind. So this is why you should not look at the sun through a telescope or binoculars, blah blah blah. So lasers are very intensive source of visible light. So lasers used in light shows are not powerful enough. So they have to pass that test. Then only they'll allow for laser shows. Laser shows you would have said, gone through when you go to Mysuru. Laser show, it is very famous there. Very powerful lasers can cut through materials such as metal. So if we use the powerful lasers, even it can cut it. So there are laser cutting machines available. There is one company called Measure Cutting Solutions at Malumichambatti on the way to Pollachi. They are using their manufacturing laser cutting machines, and they are exporting it to Germany and other countries. These would also be able to burn through living tissues. Let me take another 10-15 minutes. 10-15 minutes. I am sorry, yaar. It is not Vedic arithmetic. It is vector arithmetic. This shows my enthusiasm in Vedic mathematics. I am really sorry. Okay, vector arithmetic. Let me take another 10 minutes. Is it fine? Is it fine, both of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Another 10 minutes here, sorry.
No problem, sir.
Since I have added a lot of other components, it took me. Right. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. Say we add two vectors A and B together, what is the result? These are all revisit. It is all known to you. I'll just go through. Magnitude and direction of C is determined by the head to tail rule. Means, so if this is A, vector A, and this is vector B, the tail of B is attached to the head of the A. Vector A, and this is vector B. This is called head to tail rule. So then from this tail to the other head, we have to connect the tail of A and head of B. Then we will get C vector. So this is head to tail rule. The magnitude and direction of C is determined by the head to tail rule. This is not a provable result. Rather than head to tail rule is the definition of vector addition. Right? So there are many applications in physics for that. So some of the properties of vector addition is A plus B is equal to B plus A. Vector addition is associative also. X plus Y plus Z is equal to X plus Y plus Z. That is equal to K. So you can add in any fashion. You can in a jumbled way you can add it up. Vector subtraction. We consider the addition of a negative vector as a subtraction. That is, you have to add minus B to A. Whether this is correct? What do you think? Please tell me.
No, sir.
Then what is the relation between this?
Not
You are saying that not equal. Fine.
sir.
Any other relation between this? A minus B and B minus A? It is nothing but the magnitude is going to be the same, but it get reversed. The direction get reversed. Otherwise, the magnitude of B minus A and A minus B are one and the same. So this is the addition of a negative vector to a vector. That is nothing but the vector subtraction. Right? So this is nothing but it is not equal, but magnitude is equal. Consider a scalar quantity A and a vector quantity B. We express the multiplication of these two values as A into B vector is equal to C vector. Only thing is the magnitude of the C vector gets increased. The product of a scalar and a vector is a vector. So we can say that the product of a scalar and a vector is a vector. Okay, but what is vector C? What is the meaning of C? The resulting vector C has a magnitude that is equal to A times the magnitude of B. In other words, the direction of C is exactly as that of B. So the direction is not getting changed. Just to reiterate, multiplying a vector by a scalar changes the magnitude of the vector but not its direction. That is what I told. There is a mistake here. Just multiplication. These are the various properties of vector multiplication. This A, B all are scalars. The small a and small b are scalars. AB plus BB is equal to A plus B into B. Distributive. This is distributive in this way also. AB plus AC is equal to A into B plus C. Scalar vector multiplication is also commutative. AB is equal to BA. We can multiply in both the ways. That is A into B vector is equal to B vector into A. That also is correct. Multiplication of a vector by a negative scalar is interpreted as minus AB is nothing but the vector direction is changed, to it the magnitude is increased. As per the scalar needs to be multiplied. Division of a vector by a scalar is same as the multiplying the vector by the inverse of a scalar. So we have to multiply the vector, means we have to reduce the magnitude of it with the same direction. That is what it is as division is concerned. What happened? I'm sorry. Unit vector, as I have already told, how to find out the unit vector? We have to divide the vector by its own magnitude. Then that is called unit vector. So the magnitude is 1 and it will show the direction. That is called as unit vector. How AA related to A? This is represented as AA. That is, sorry. This is how we represent unit vector. A capital A means this is a unit vector. This is nothing but a unit vector in the direction of A vector. This is showing the direction of capital A vector. If A is a vector, then this is the unit vector of A. So this is how we will represent. Some of the books represents U suffix A. In some of the texts they will use it as unit vector of A. So since we divide A by a scalar value, the vector has the same direction as vector A. So vector A has a magnitude equal to 1. We call such a vector as a unit vector. A unit vector is essentially, and this unit vector is one of the major contribution of my PhD work. So I have used this unit vector concept in something else, in the multi-level inverter concept, to get the angle theta. Instantaneously we can calculate theta using this unit vector. Yeah, unit vector is essentially a description of the direction only. Yes, same thing whatever I have told. There are two ways we can multiply two vectors. So the previous slide shows a multiplication of a vector with a scalar. Here it is vector with another vector. So dot product of two vectors A and B is denoted as A dot B. A dot B is nothing but AB cos theta AB. Means A is the modulus A is nothing but the magnitude of A, magnitude of B into cosine of the angle between the vectors A and B. This is theta AB. So where theta AB is between 0 and pi. So AB cos theta. Important note, the dot product is an operation involving two vectors, but the result is a scalar. Example, the dot product is also called the scalar product of the two vectors. A dot B is equal to C, so it is commutative. Dot product continues. Is it? Okay, the dot product of the two vectors A and B is, this is what I have done, right? Why it is not moving? Yeah, cross product of two vectors A and B is denoted as A cross B. A cross B is equal to AB sin theta AB, and a direction component is included, which is AN, means the direction of this A cross B is another vector. The direction of this is normal to the plane of AB. If this is A and this is B, if I am having a plane here, then this will be coming out of this. If this is A, if this is A and this is B, and this is the direction of A cross B, which is perpendicular to both the A and B. So which will form 90 degree to this, 90 degree to this. So which is orthogonal. So everywhere we need 3 dimension. That is why we are studying 3 dimension as the basic. So the cross product is an operation involving two vectors, and the result is also a vector. Example, A cross B is equal to C. So AB sin theta AB. This is the magnitude of A cross B, and direction is AN, which is a normal. Cross product, just go through this. There are two unit vectors that satisfy the equations AN dot A equal to 0 and AN dot B equal to 0. These two vectors are antiparallel. A dot AN1 equal to A dot AN2 equal to 0. Means this is A vector, this is AN1 vector, and this is AN2 vector. Why this is 0? Why this is 0? A dot AN1. What is the angle between these two? What is the angle between these two? Please respond. What is that?
90.
90 degree. So what is the formula for A dot B? What is the formula for A dot B?
Modulus of A, modulus of B.
Modulus of A, modulus of B, cos theta AB. What is cos? What is the theta between those two vectors?
90.
90. Cos 90 is
0.
That is why it is 0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
A dot AN1. Where what is the magnitude of this? AN1. What is the magnitude of this? Rohit?
Sir,
What is the magnitude of AN1?
sir, what?
1 unit vector, since it is a unit vector. Super. So A dot AN1 equal to A dot AN2. Why means both are making 90 degree with A. So the angle between A and AN2 is also 90 degree. So BAN1, BAN2 is also 0. So but AN1 is equal to minus AN2. It is opposite in direction. Which unit vector is correct now? Ipo, this is what it is. Now both can be considered as unit vector for this direction. So this is A, this is B. A cross B means either AN1 is the unit vector for that. We have told here, right? AB. Why we are taking this side? Why can't we take that side? Means now we have to take right hand rule. So from A to B, if it is moving like this, then what will be the direction of the screw? This is the direction of screw. So AN2 is the correct unit vector for A cross B. Is it clear? You have to travel from A to B. Then what should be the movement? That is, if I am screwing a particular screw using a screwdriver, then the direction of movement of your screwdriver or your hands is from A to B. That is clockwise, right hand corkscrew. Then the screw will move in this direction. So that is the correct way. So we have to use right hand rule. These are the properties of cross product. A cross B is equal to AB sin 90. an, that is equal to an into b, if it is orthogonal. If it is orthogonal, that is if a and b are perpendicular to each other, then it is equal to sine 90, that is angle is 90 degree, then it is only AB. It is only AB. The just you can multiply it and it will have a direction. So if A cross B is equal to AB magnitude, then we call it as these two, A and B are orthogonal, that is 90 degree between them. If both are parallel, then A cross B is equal to 0. Why means, if it is parallel, the angle between the vectors are 0, so sine 0 is 0, so it will become 0. If you want to find out whether two vectors are parallel or perpendicular, we can use this formulae. A cross B is 0. Also if theta AB equal to 180 degree, there is another constraint also there. Then also we can call it as parallel. One is moving the forward, and the other one is moving backward. Then also we can call it as parallel. So the cross product is not commutative. That is, A cross B is not equal to B cross A. We cannot say that A cross B is equal to B cross A. So it is not commutative. While evaluating the cross products of two vectors, the order is important. We can write, instead of that, it can be minus B cross A, as I have told in the subtraction of vectors. Negative of the cross product is minus A cross B can be written as A cross minus B. The cross product is also not associative. A cross B cross C cannot be equated to A cross B cross C. But the cross product is distributive. A cross B plus C is equal to A cross B plus A cross C. Triple product, A dot B cross C. The combination of dot product and cross product is known as your triple product. A dot B cross C or A dot B cross C, which is nothing but A dot B cross C. So all these things are coming in triple product. So scalar into vector, vector dot vector. So this makes no sense. Fine. Coordinate system, I don't know, let me close it. This will take it in the next class. I have exceeded the time. Is it fine? Shall we close it? So,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for patient listening. I hope that I have given a lot of inputs, but nothing is new to you. I have just connected things what are all which is known to you already. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
I need feedback of this. How you felt about this session? Hello?
yes, sir.
Just give me some feedback here. If there is any
Nice
negative
session,
feedback.
sir. Hello.
Yeah, tell me please.
Sir, nice session, sir.
Okay.
பட் இதை வீடியோ யூஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் நல்லா இருக்கும் சார்.
Video.
எஸ் சார்.
Okay, let me try. This yesterday night I made it.
ஓகே சார்.
Right, from different websites, different learning materials. Okay. One negative point is I have to contain the time since I made it a lot. So we have completed about 42 slides here today.
Yes.
Coordinate system will do it tomorrow, and there is assignment for you for this session.
Yes, sir.
So each and every day you are supposed to finish off the assignment and post it in the IMS portal. So today's assignment is, we have a lot of these things, right? Properties. Lot of properties are there. So
Yes.
based on this, based on these two, you have to take certain problems. We have to take certain vectors. Suppose A is equal to 3i vector plus 4j vector, something like that. You have to take in 3 dimension. ijk, and you have to prove whether it is orthogonal or parallel. There are a lot of problems available in the net also. Either you can take the same, or you can take the question from the net and you work out on your own. That is better.
Okay.
Right? This is one thing is you have to find out whether it is parallel or perpendicular, both the vectors. Instead of using cross product, you can use dot product also. So the same problem you have to solve it using dot product, using cross product, and find out whether it is perpendicular or parallel. One.
Okay, sir.
This is one. Second one is, if two vectors are given, then you need to find out the angle between these two using
Okay.
the same cross product and dot product. I hope that all these things you would have read already. You did already. These kind of problems. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Sir, I
work
didn't
out at
tell again
least.
the second question, sir.
I'm sorry?
Second question.
Yeah. The first one is whether it is parallel or perpendicular.
Yes, sir.
So for that, 2 or 3 problems you have to work out.
Okay, sir.
And the second thing is the angle between these two.
Okay, sir.
Angle between any two vectors will be given. You have to
Okay,
take
sir.
any two vectors. Randomly you take some vectors.
Yes, sir.
You need not to, you can set your question on your own.
Okay, sir.
And find out the angle between these two vectors
Yes, sir.
using cross product, using dot product, both.
Okay, sir.
Right? This is the assignment. Is it fine, Rohit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there is one a small project, I'll say, for this
Okay,
session.
sir.
The thing is, you have to do a mind map poster by
Okay, sir.
taking all the applications of electromagnetics. Whatever I have given, you can utilize that also.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, the other things, intentionally I didn't mention a lot of other applications. So for submitting the assignment tomorrow before the session, I should see your assignments.
Okay, sir.
And as far as this mind map, you can take 3 days.
Okay, sir.
Right? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Is it enough? The timing given?
Yes, sir. Enough, sir.
Rohit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Rohit and Heram, it is your responsibility to pull in other two guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You are now muted.